He wanted to be successful, but the master gave him an empty tube of bamboo. What happened next changed everything. One day, a young leopard came rushing into the Zen master's garden. His turquoise eyes burned with ambition.
Master, I want to be someone great. I want to rise above everyone. Please teach me the secret of success.
The Zen master looked up from tending his bonsai and smiled gently. He said nothing. Instead, he walked into his hut and returned holding a simple hollow bamboo tube. He handed it to the young leopard.
Carry this bamboo with you for the next 7 days. Then return to me.
Confused, the leopard accepted it.
That's it?
The master just bowed silently. As the leopard wandered through the forest and villages with the bamboo, he became restless.
How is this supposed to make me successful?
He passed merchants counting coins. He saw lions training to be warriors. He heard birds singing of fame. And there he was. Carrying a hollow stick, he felt foolish, but he kept going. He noticed something strange. Wherever he walked, the bamboo would collect sounds, wind, rain, whispers, music, silence. It carried everything, yet held onto nothing. After 7 days, he returned to the master. He placed the bamboo on the ground and said,
I still don't understand. What does this mean?
The Zen master picked up the bamboo and held it to his ear. Then he smiled.
This bamboo is empty. And because it is empty, it can carry music, wind, and water. It is useful because it is open.
He looked at the young leopard.
Success is not about how much you hold, but how much you can receive. If your mind is already full with ego, ambition, and noise, there's no space for wisdom, compassion, or purpose.
The leopard sat in silence, his tail wrapped gently around his paws, his ears twitched, and then he understood. The world tells us to collect, to compete, to climb. But Zen teaches us something different. True success is like the bamboo, strong yet flexible, grounded yet open. Its power lies in its emptiness. When we empty ourselves of pride and expectations, we become vessels for growth, connection, and true purpose. What could you achieve if you emptied your bamboo today? Sometimes the path we trust the most suddenly fades away, not to leave us lost, but to guide us toward something deeper within ourselves. The young leopard walked his usual trail through the forest, a path he had trusted many times before. Today, the trail was gone. No footprints marked the ground. No clear way forward. Only silence stretched between the trees.
Where did it go? Was it something I missed? Did I take a wrong turn? Was I careless or simply blind?
He turned in place, searching for answers. The forest remained still, unmoving, untouched.
Am I lost?
No sound, no guidance, only the quiet breathing of the earth beneath his paws. He moved through the forest, wandering from one direction to another, but every path looked the same. Moss-covered rocks, roots twisted through the ground, and mist blurred the distance.
Maybe there never was a path. Maybe it had only been a story I told myself to feel safe.
He climbed a small hill, hoping to see something familiar, but all he saw was mist and endless trees. Tired and heavy, he settled beneath an ancient tree whose roots curled deep into the earth.
Maybe I've been walking in circles. Maybe there's nowhere I'm supposed to go.
He closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of doubt wrap itself around his heart.
I just want to know where I belong.
But the world around him remained silent. From the depths of the mist, a figure appeared. An old monk, moving slowly and calmly, as if he carried the patience of 1,000 years. The leopard lifted his head, hope flickering quietly in his chest.
Do you know the way?
The monk smiled, full of warmth and understanding.
You are not lost. The path has not left you. It only hid itself so that you could learn to truly see.
The leopard looked again, not searching for signs carved into trees, not for beaten trails, but for something quieter, something deeper. And slowly, he began to see it, the openness between the trees, the subtle rhythm of the earth, the silent invitation to trust. Together, they walked forward. No path marked the way. No destination called them forward. Only the simple trust in each step. Sunlight slipped gently through the high branches. Long shadows stretched across the soft ground. The scent of pine, the rustle of leaves, the quiet heartbeat of the earth, all of it moved with them.
Maybe the path isn't about where I'm going. Maybe it's about how I walk and how I choose to see. Maybe the path was always within me.
The leopard smiled, not because he had found something new, but because he had discovered something that had been waiting inside him all along. The path may not always be visible. At times it may hide, it may confuse, it may even seem to disappear completely, but it is never truly gone. It waits patiently within us. For the moment, we are ready to trust it again. He waited for his friend every morning, until one day, the chair stayed empty. This is a Zen story about loss, love, and the quiet presence that never leaves. Every morning, just after the sun rose behind the misty hills, the young leopard would sit in the garden with the old Zen master. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. The master would prepare tea with slow, mindful movements, and the leopard would listen to the silence. Sometimes the master would share a small thought.
The wind speaks only to those who are quiet inside.
The leopard didn't always understand, but he loved the calm, and he loved the presence of the old man beside him. One morning, the leopard arrived as usual, but the chair across from him was empty. He waited and waited. The tea cooled. The wind passed through the garden without a whisper. The master, he never came. The leopard's eyes filled with quiet tears, not loud, just still, like the way he had been taught. For days, the leopard returned to the same spot. He looked at the empty chair, and little by little, he remembered the way the master smiled without speaking, the rhythm of his breathing, the warmth of his silence. The chair was empty, but the space was full of lessons, full of presence, full of peace. One morning, much later, a small bird landed nearby. It was trembling, afraid. The leopard poured a second cup of tea, and for the first time, he smiled, not because he was no longer sad, but because he understood.
The master is gone, but his presence lives in how I sit, how I breathe, and how I love.
And from that day on, the chair was never truly empty again. Sometimes those we love don't leave us. They just become the silence that guides us from within. What if the person you're trying so hard to become is simply the one you stopped listening to? The little leopard had heard stories for as long as he could remember. Stories of a mirror hidden high on a mountain peak. A mirror that could show you who you really are, beyond appearances, beyond doubts, beyond noise. He had often wondered,
Who am I really? Not just what others see, but what's behind my eyes. What matters? What's true?
So one morning, as the sky stretched wide and the valley lay quiet, he tied his little robe, took a deep breath, and began his climb.
I will find that mirror. I want to see the truth, even if it's hard.
As he walked through the lower valley, he began to hear voices, not from above, but from around.
Be strong,
Called one voice.
be admired,
Said another.
Be smarter, funnier, louder, better.
The voices didn't come from strangers. They came from familiar faces, animals and people he had seen before. A loud fox, a proud hawk, a clever squirrel. Each one shouting as they passed.
You should be more like me.
Don't waste time climbing. You're already behind.
Change yourself, fast. The little leopard tried to ignore them, but their words clung to his fur like burrs.
Maybe they're right. Maybe I need to be more.
He walked faster, but the faster he moved, the quieter his own thoughts became.
Why can't I hear myself anymore?
Further up, the trail widened into a strange and beautiful garden. There were mirrors everywhere, tall, bright, polished. Each one was surrounded by animals striking poses. A peacock puffed its feathers. A lion flexed with pride. A graceful deer turned slowly in front of her glass. The little leopard hesitated. but then walked toward a mirror of his own. He stared at his reflection. Small, quiet, simple, not as radiant, not as bold, not like the others.
I'm not enough. Look at me. I don't shine like they do.
The peacock chuckled.
Shine? You? Maybe if you had some feathers?
The lion added,
Confidence, little one. That's what you're missing.
Even the deer, though kind, smiled softly and said,
You're still growing. One day, maybe you'll be ready.
The leopard smiled just a little, but it wasn't real, not even to himself. He turned away from the mirror, but their voices echoed inside his chest. The path became steep. The trees faded. The wind grew colder. Dark clouds rolled in, and rain began to fall. The leopard pushed on, but his paws slipped on the wet stones. His robe was soaked. His breath came fast. And then he collapsed, right there on the mountainside, too tired to move, too soaked to think. He closed his eyes.
Maybe I don't need to know who I am. Maybe I'm just lost.
Then a voice, gentle, calm, warm.
You've come far, too far to stop now.
He opened his eyes and saw an old figure beside him, a quiet monk in a brown robe, kneeling in the rain.
Why are you climbing?
To find the mirror, to know who I am.
And what do you expect it to show?
I don't know anymore. Something clear, something true.
The monk placed a hand on the leopard's shoulder.
You already carry the mirror inside you. You've just been staring at reflections that aren't yours.
The storm passed, and after resting a while with the old monk, the little leopard climbed the last part of the trail. When he reached the summit, there was no crowd, no celebration, just a single small mirror. It stood gently in the earth, framed by sky, wind, and silence. He walked toward it, slowly, cautiously. And then he looked. He saw a face that wasn't perfect, eyes that were tired, paws that were scratched, a heart that had broken but kept beating, a spirit that had listened, doubted, fallen, and still kept going. He didn't look away. He didn't try to smile. He just stood there. And for the first time, he didn't need to change the reflection.
I know you. You've been with me the whole way.
And the reflection seemed to whisper back,
Yes, and I always will be.
He walked down the mountain slowly, not to be seen, not to prove anything, but because he had more living to do, more learning, more quiet walks. The path hadn't changed. The voices still echoed in the distance. The mirrors still waited below. But something inside him had shifted. He no longer needed the world to tell him who he was. He had climbed, he had asked, he had seen. And sometimes, that's all the mirror is. Not a reflection, but a journey. So the next time you feel lost, don't run to find a better version of yourself. just walk quietly back to the one you left behind. In a quiet corner of the forest, the little leopard was feeling overwhelmed. So many things to do, so little time. One morning, he approached the old Zen master.
How do I find time for what truly matters?
The master smiled and said,
Let me show you with a simple jar.
The little leopard sat quietly, gazing at the jar filled with big rocks. The master tapped the glass gently.
Is it full now?
The leopard nodded.
Yes, it's full.
The master smiled again and reached for a bag of pebbles. He poured the small pebbles into the jar. They filled the spaces between the rocks.
Now, is it full?
The leopard hesitated.
I think so.
Then the master took a handful of fine sand and gently poured it in. It slipped into every last gap. The jar looked completely full. The leopard looked confused. The master explained.
The big rocks are the most important things. Your purpose, your health, your loved ones. If you don't put them in first, you'll never fit them in later. The pebbles are useful things, tasks, goals, habits, and the sand. That's the noise, distractions, worries, endless small stuff.
The leopard looked at a second empty jar. He picked up the sand first and watched how nothing else would fit. Then he smiled and began again. This time, big rocks first. So ask yourself today, are you filling your life with what truly matters, or just with sand? What if your true strength isn't visible at all? In this quiet Zen story, a young leopard learns that real success doesn't need to be seen. It only needs to be known. The young leopard loved applause. He would leap between rocks, race through trees, and balance perfectly on narrow branches. Animals clapped. Some cheered. He smiled wide. But at night, he felt something missing.
I want to be more than impressive. I want to be strong, truly strong.
The old Zen master didn't answer. He just began walking. And the leopard followed. They walked through forests, fields, and valleys. No one watched. No one clapped. The leopard grew restless.
Where are we going?
The master kept walking. They passed a massive tree struck by lightning, a mountain path carved by water, and finally, a quiet river. There, the master stopped. He pointed to a gray stone.
Pick it up.
The leopard struggled. The stone was heavier than it looked, but he lifted it. It was smooth, unshaped.
It doesn't shine.
No, it doesn't need to. This stone has held the mountain from below. It's never been seen, never been praised. But without it, everything above would collapse.
The leopard was quiet. His breath slowed. His eyes softened. They walked back. No applause. No audience. But something had changed. The leopard still leapt and danced, but he no longer needed to be watched. He felt something deeper now, not the thrill of being seen, but the quiet strength of being enough. The stone was still there, unmoving, unnoticed, and powerful, just like him. True strength is not built by proving yourself to the world. It is forged in patience, in silence, and in unseen moments. And one day, without seeking it, your stone will shine. Have you ever said something in anger and wished you could take it back? Have you ever felt trapped inside your own reaction, like a storm rising before you could stop it? This is the story of a little leopard who thought strength meant to fight back, but learned a different kind of power, a power found in calm. One quiet morning, the young leopard sat by the monastery gate, his tail flicked, his breath was sharp.
I was doing so well, focused, calm, just like the master taught me.
But today, a monkey had stolen his fruit, a squirrel had mocked his size, and now his patience was wearing thin.
It's not fair. Why do they always test me? I can't take it anymore.
At that moment, the Zen master appeared. He stood beside the leopard, silent. The master didn't scold. He didn't explain. He simply waited. After a long pause, he spoke softly.
You feel the fire rising. That is natural, but you have a choice.
A choice to let them win?
No, a choice to not let them control your peace.
The leopard blinked, confused. He had never thought of it that way. Later, they walked together along a quiet path. The forest around them was still. The master led the leopard to a small pond. They sat by the water's edge.
Tell me, what do you see?
My reflection. But it's restless.
The master picked up a pebble and let it fall into the pond. Ripples spread across the surface.
And now?
The leopard watched as his reflection blurred.
I can't see myself clearly anymore.
Strong emotions are like these ripples. When you react immediately, the world becomes unclear. But if you wait, it settles.
The leopard sat quietly, watching the ripples fade. He felt his own breath slow with the water.
I want to be like that, still, even when things stir inside.
Days passed. The young leopard returned to the monastery garden. He knew what awaited him. The monkey was there, loud as ever, the squirrel, ready with his teasing grin. The leopard felt the familiar heat rising, but this time, he remembered the pond. He inhaled deeply, held the breath for a moment, and exhaled slowly. The monkey shouted. The leopard glanced at him, smiled softly, and walked on. The squirrel pointed, expecting a reaction, but the leopard's steps remained calm. From the shaded bench, the master watched.
You're not so small after all, when you carry peace inside.
That evening, the young leopard and the master walked side by side through the forest path. No words were needed. The air was calm. Each step felt steady, grounded. The leopard's ears twitched as he listened to the sounds of the forest, to the rhythm of his own breath.
I used to think being strong meant fighting back.
And what do you think now?
The leopard paused, looking up at the master.
Now I think strength is in choosing how I meet things, Not everything deserves my energy.
Very good. The world will always invite you to react, but true strength is choosing your own pace.
They continued walking in silence, but inside, the leopard felt different, lighter, wiser with every step. He was no longer pushed by the world. He was walking his own path. There will always be storms around you, loud voices, harsh words, unfair moments, but peace begins when you stop letting them inside. The power of not reacting isn't weakness, it's wisdom, it's freedom, it's strength. And it belongs to you. The next time the storm comes, how will you choose to respond? Some say peace comes after war, but in truth, every war begins long before the first strike. It begins with what we plant, with what we water, with what we believe will keep us safe. This is the story of two seeds, and what grew from them. In a quiet valley, far from roads and voices, two young souls wandered side by side. One was a small leopard cub, curious, calm, with turquoise eyes full of wonder. The other, a young wolf pup, sharp, alert, his gaze always scanning the horizon. One morning, after a summer rain, they discovered two seeds resting in the soft earth. They were simple things, round, silent, unremarkable, but they held something more.
Let's plant them. Let's see what they become.
But what if something happens to them?
And so, with small paws and big dreams, each planted their seed. They did not yet know it was not just a seed they planted, but the beginning of who they would become. The future often begins with a single choice, not of what we find, but how we choose to tend. Days passed, then weeks. The leopard returned each morning, not to check, not to measure, but simply to be present. He gave water, he gave space. He sat in silence, letting the sun and earth do their part. The wolf did not wait. He built offensive twigs around his seed. He paced around it, ears up, eyes watching.
No one will touch what's mine. It must be protected.
Both cared, but in very different ways. One trusted, the other controlled. One invited growth, the other defended it. We often believe we're protecting what we love, when in truth, we are protecting our fear. Time passed, seasons turned, and quietly, change began. From one seed, a tree emerged. Its trunk was strong, its branches wide and open like arms. It cast shade, danced with the wind, and welcomed birds to sing in its crown. From the other, thorns rose, twisted, guarded, thick with tension. No wind passed through, no light touched the roots. The wolf stood before it, frustrated.
Why is mine so hard, so sharp?
The leopard said nothing. He simply sat beneath his tree, eyes soft, paws folded, heart still. What grows from a seed is not only about the seed itself, but about the heart that tended it. One morning, the wolf knelt down and touched the roots of his plant. They were deep but tangled, fed not by peace, but by fear, by suspicion, by loneliness. Then he looked at the leopard's tree. It swayed gently in the breeze. Its roots were hidden, but you could feel them, steady, quiet, alive.
Maybe it was never the seed. Maybe it was how we grew it.
The leopard didn't speak. He just smiled, a smile as warm as morning sun. And in that silence, a single petal drifted through the air, landing gently on the wolf's paw. They sat together beneath the tree, not as a lesson, not as a solution, but simply as two beings who had grown a little more. Peace is not something we chase. It is what grows when we stop chasing. Not every thorn is meant to hurt, and not every tree grows by being left alone. Peace is not something we win. It's something we choose, again and again, in how we speak, how we listen, and how we plant the next seed. Have you ever tried so hard to solve a problem that the more you thought, the less you understood? This is a story about a young leopard who learned that clarity doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from thinking less. One restless morning, the young leopard paced back and forth. Thoughts raced in his head like wind in a storm.
What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if I miss something?
He looked exhausted. The Zen master sat nearby, silent, holding a small, full bowl of water. Without a word, he tilted it. Water spilled over the edge.
Why did you do that?
The master smiled.
When your mind is full, even a drop of worry can cause it to overflow.
He handed the bowl to the cub.
Try walking with this. Don't let it spill.
Carefully, the leopard walked forward. But after a few steps, the water trembled and spilled again. Frustrated, the leopard said,
I'm trying so hard. Why can't I keep it steady?
The master gently took the bowl.
You don't need to carry a full bowl. You need to empty it.
He poured out half the water.
Now, walk again.
This time, the leopard moved calmly. Nothing spilled. He smiled. Later that day, the young leopard sat under a tree. His mind felt quiet. No more chasing thoughts. No more pressure to hold everything at once. Just breath. Just stillness. Just now. And in that stillness, he saw more clearly than ever before. When your mind is too full, even peace can't find space. Let go. Empty your mind, and clarity will return on its own. The young leopard had never seen anything so shiny. It glittered like sunlight and whispered of treasure, power, success. But what he didn't know, what glitters, isn't always gold. This is a story of a little leopard, a golden bowl, and the quiet lesson of letting go. As morning light filtered through the ancient forest, the young leopard trotted beside his master. Suddenly, his turquoise eyes widened.
Master, look, what's that?
From beneath the roots of an old tree, a golden bowl gleamed. The leopard crouched down, gently pulling it free.
It's beautiful. Can I keep it?
He asked, tail curling in excitement. The master smiled, resting on his staff.
If you believe it will bring you joy, then take it.
The leopard hugged the bowl to his chest.
I'll take good care of it.
As they continued their walk, the sunlight danced on the golden surface. But unnoticed, a single leaf drifted quietly to the ground. Days passed. The leopard carried the bowl everywhere.
I must protect it.
He whispered, polishing it even as they climbed rocky paths. But each step grew heavier. His shoulders ached. His heart raced.
What if I drop it? What if someone steals it?
He lagged behind, ears drooping. The master walked ahead, calm and unbothered.
Master, why does something so precious make me so afraid?
But the only answer was the rustle of falling leaves. That evening, by a quiet stream, the leopard sat with the bowl in his lap. He gazed at his reflection in the golden surface, eyes tired, posture tense. The master knelt beside him.
You hold it like a treasure, yet you suffer.
I thought it would make me happy, but now it feels like I'm trapped.
The master smiled gently.
True treasures lighten your heart. Anything that weighs you down might not be treasure after all.
The leopard looked at the bowl again, this time differently. The next morning, the leopard approached the stream once more. He placed the golden bowl softly on a stone.
Thank you, but I'm done carrying you.
He straightened up, shoulders light, paws steady. As they walked on, his step was quicker, his tail swayed freely. The master watched with a knowing smile.
No lesson is heavier than the one we carry too long.
For the leopard, the forest seemed brighter, not because he had gained something, but because he had let go. In life, it's easy to mistake shine for value, but the things truly worth carrying are those that set you free. Sometimes the greatest treasure is the peace of an empty hand. In a quiet valley far from the noise of the world, a curious young leopard wandered with questions heavy in his heart.
Why do so many people argue over what is true?
The old Zen master, a wise man with silver hair and deep, peaceful eyes, waited for him beneath a Bodhi tree. And so begins our story, not just of answers, but of seeing differently.
Master, why do people see things so differently? Sometimes it feels like everyone is arguing about who's right.
Come with me, little one. There is something I want to show you.
And so they walked, beyond the bamboo grove, past the silent stream, until they reached a clearing where a group of blindfolded animals stood. 5 blindfolded animals stand around a calm, gray elephant. Each touches a different part: the tusk, the trunk, the ear, the leg, the tail.
These animals have never seen an elephant, and so each one describes what they feel.
An elephant is sharp and smooth like a spear.
No, it's long and flexible like a snake.
It's wide and flat like a wall.
No, it's thin and soft like a leaf.
They all spoke their truth, and yet they argued. The leopard watched, puzzled.
But they're all wrong and also all right.
Exactly.
The leopard and the master sit quietly by a reflective pond. The master let silence teach its lesson.
Truth is like the elephant. Each of us touches a part, but only by listening to others can we begin to see the whole.
And if we argue too much, we miss the elephant entirely.
That evening, the leopard understood. Truth is not owned. It is discovered layer by layer through patience, openness, and gentle humility.
To be wise is not to hold the truth tightly, but to hold it lightly and let it grow.
And so, the young leopard walked on, not with answers, but with eyes a little more open.